going to talk about is Breece Hall, running back for the New York Jets. Breece Hall gets a quarterback change similar to Kenneth Walker. This is a guy who, is now going to have Justin Fields under center in New York. They also get a completely new coaching staff, new GM. I mean, this is a different team, Matt. And, Breece Hall, number 35 overall on startups right now. And, he was going at the 312 in March on the 25th. As of April 1st, he's going at the 402. So, I mean, he's jumped a solid amount of points. I mean, he's moved 3 spots, and in startups, moving 3 spots that at that high in the draft is significant, right? And so when we think about Breece Hall, he's 23 years old. He's a year younger than Kenneth Walker, who we just spoke about, but he gets a new offense completely, a new quarterback. And, I think I don't mind where he's going right now, but, a player he's going ahead of is Bucky Irving, who's one of your guys. So before we talk about the guys going around him, what do you think about Breece Hall right now? You're getting him at the 35th overall pick, which is the 3rd round. What are your thoughts there on Breece Hall and this price that you'd be paying for him in startups?
Oh, I think you said it perfectly. Where he's falling is wonderful. I mean, if you told me you could get him on the 3-4 turn, that's an ideal situation. I mean, he's a stable back to be your RB1. He's only 23 years old, and he's the guy. Yes, Braylon Allen came in and he had an interesting year this past season, but I didn't see anything that made me feel like he was suddenly going to eat into Breece Hall's workload or certainly not take the job. Braylon Allen, in my opinion, is a complimentary back. He's reminds me a lot of Brian Robinson, which is interesting because Brian Robinson's the starter in Washington, but I don't think it's crazy if he got replaced. I think Breece Hall is someone who gives you a ton of upside. I mean, he averaged just under 14 points per game in half PPR, higher than that in full PPR. So he's someone that I think can give you stable production as an RB1 on your team while also getting the value. Yes, it's only 3 picks back from where he was about a week ago, but take value where you can get it. Because if it's on that turn between the 3rd and 4th round, if it's not a 3rd round reversal, you're talking about getting a stack like Breece Hall and Laporta or Breece Hall and, Kyler Murray. Like that can change your lineup and create a ton of value for you in the Superflex League. So I absolutely love where he's falling, and I will take that value anytime I'm on the back end of the 3rd round if I can get Breece Hall.
Yeah, Breece last year, in 2023, right, 17.1 fantasy points per game, which was good enough for 6th in the NFL for fantasy. Then last year he has a little bit of a down year, right? 2 less points. He was 17th in points per game at 15.1. I think the biggest thing when you look at Breece Hall, last year to this year is his receptions. I mean, he was averaging an extra reception and about 10 more yards per game, from the year before to last year. And so what does that look like with, Justin Fields? I think this offense, Justin Fields is going to provide another threat, for running the football. I think, it helps when you have, a guy running read option. You worry about those being vultured touchdowns at the red zone, and how many will Justin Fields score? He's probably gonna score a decent amount of touchdowns, but there's a good chance that this offense moves down the field a little bit better. Am I saying that Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers? No, I think there's going to be more turnovers. I think that we can 100%, we can definitely guarantee that there will likely be more turnovers from Justin Fields. But I think he adds a new dynamic in this offense that is going to be helpful for Breece Hall, right? I think Breece Hall is now going to, instead of teams keying on him and stacking the box, which was very frequent in his first 2 years with the Jets, like they're going to have to worry about it. It's similar to Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. It's like the Timu version of of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Like that's the best way I could put it. Like it is the off brand. Like you're getting something similar. It's not going to be as dynamic. It's not going to be as elite. But you're stressing a defense, right? And so I think Breece Hall has a chance to really have a nice bounce back year, and I think it's stock up for him. I know we talked about Garrett Wilson a couple weeks ago, and I'm not in love with the landing spot for him, But I do think that this boosts Breece Hall. And I think where you're getting him, to your point, I mean, look, you could definitely go with Bucky Irving, who's likely going to be in a better offense. He's younger. He's dealt with less injuries, though he did have some of the back injuries last year. But realistically, the value that you're getting here with Breece Hall, in the third round, I think if you're competing, like, you're getting a guy who's not going to be in a timeshare. I know you love Bucky Irving. I love Bucky Irving. But the reality is Rachaad White is going to catch the football. Like, he's not going to run the football probably nearly as much, but he's going to catch the football, right? And there are receptions that he might take away. And Bucky has dealt with some injuries just like Breece has. So I think, like, Bucky has likely a little bit more competition as a receiver than Breece. And so because of that, I think if you're competing, I think Breece may give you a better chance to compete now. But the other side of that is Bucky's in an offense that has been, the same system for a couple of years, and Baker Mayfield knows this offense, and it's going to be a better offense. So there may be more opportunities for you there too. So it's really about pick your poison, right? If you're looking for, your RB1, I would probably prefer Breece because we've seen him do it for a couple of years. But if it's an RB2, then I'm good with Bucky because there's more upside there possibly. I think Breece provides a better floor because we've seen him do it consistently year over year, where Bucky's done it for 1 year. And if it's RB2 versus RB1, I would probably prefer Breece as my RB1, and Bucky, if it's for the RB2 spot, I would prefer Bucky there. So that would be my thoughts there. Is there anything else that you want to share in terms, maybe that argument I just made to close this out?
Yeah, I think you made an interesting point of what happens at the goal line, because certainly, Justin Fields will be a threat to score at the goal line, running the ball in. But Breece Hall his game has never been touchdowns. He had 4 touchdowns his rookie year where he got hurt. 2023, where he finished as RB2 overall, he had 5 touchdowns. This past season, he had 5 touchdowns. So his game has not been touchdowns thus far in his career. And the interesting part to me is going to be the receptions and the targets. Do those follow? Will Justin Fields check the ball down to him? Because this past season, he had 76 targets. The year before that, he had 95 targets. So if that can at least stay stable somewhere in that 65 to 80 range, then his value should be just the exact same. He's been a really good player, averaging almost 14 points a game, and I wouldn't expect nothing less. And if anything, it wouldn't shock me if maybe he got some positive touchdown regression and got closer to 10, just because running backs kind of have that happen in their history. And him only having 5, 5, and 4 in his career for each season respectively is kind of low, especially given his fantasy finish each year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you make a great point. The touchdowns have never really been a big part of his game. And if he can even fall into the end zone a couple more times, I know it sounds easy to just say that, but I mean, it is possible. And, Bucky scored a ton of touchdowns last year. I know we're going back to Bucky, but the reason we're talking about Bucky is more so because of, the fact that they're going back to back. I mean, and I know you're pulling it up, right? And if I had to guess, Bucky probably had somewhere around 8, maybe 10. I mean, he did find the end zone
He
a
had 8
decent amount.
rushing touchdowns.
He had 8. Okay. And how many did he? And I'm sure he caught a few too.
I don't believe he caught one. He didn't catch one all
Really?
season. He got caught at the 1 yard line like 3 times on a couple
Wow.
different screens and little bubbles. So
Okay.
he never got a reception.
Okay. And
Touchdown,
yeah,
excuse
so
me.
do we see any regression there? I don't know. I mean, maybe not, right? But I think the point is, I think for me, if I'm picking between the two, I feel pretty confident in that argument that if it's your RB1, I prefer to be Breece. If it's your RB2, I prefer to be Bucky because you're getting a higher upside probably there with a younger player who's dealt with less injuries. Breece was banged up last year. We've already seen him tear the ACL. Like, there are concerns there, right? But I think he will provide likely a safer floor because there's less competition there. So, I think that's good. We'll close that segment out, and then we're going to